Now, a number of people have been arrested in Accra and Kumasi for flouting the 14-day movement restrictions. My colleague Erastus Asare Donko joins us live from Kumasi with some update on this. Erastus, tell us about the compliance level in Kumasi since the restrictions started yesterday. Well, I think we're having difficulty reaching my colleague Erastus Asare Donko. But Erastus, if you can hear me, I'm asking about the level of compliance. Restrictions started yesterday. What can you tell us about how people are complying with this directive?
Well, currently, if you can see the streets behind me, you can see it's all clear. This is the road that leads to Adum proper, and just to my left here is the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. Now this is a very busy street, but today you can find out that it's almost totally empty at the moment. So this is a reflection of what is happening across many of the streets you find in the length and breadth of Kumasi. But there are a few areas where people are not obeying these protocols that the authorities have set out. You can talk about Asafo, where all the cold stores are open at the moment, and so it's becoming increasingly difficult to prevent people from being attracted to the frozen foods that are being sold on the streets. And so just a short while ago, we had the task force made up of the military, the police, and the KMA city guards going over the streets, arresting people physically and putting them in vans as we speak. So we counted about 20 people who have been placed in vans waiting to be transported to the Central Police Headquarters to be handed over to the police. And so in those sections of society, that is what is happening. People are not obeying the social distancing protocols. People are not leaving the streets. They are being attracted by the cold stores that are directly open at the moment. And so the task force is going around and asking people, if you are not doing anything in town, they arrest you, put you in that particular van, and send you to the Kumasi Central Police Headquarters.
Erastus, just for clarity, all 20 were picked up at the cold store, and what exactly is the offense? Not adhering to social distances, is that it?
Well, so I asked the same question to the leader of the team, and he was telling me that they've been given instructions that people who are gallivanting in town doing nothing are supposed to be arrested, kept in that vehicle and transported to the Central Police Headquarters. He is not able to tell me what charge will be given to them, but they believe that when they are handed over to the right authorities, they will prefer the right charges against them. And so their duty is just to arrest them, get them into that caged caravan to be sent over to the Central Police Headquarters.
Now, beyond the compliance, let's talk about the defiance. We know that people in the food value chain are exempt. Do we have people who are not within, who do not fall within this range, flouting the rules by opening their shops and operating?
Yes, just about 30 minutes ago, when we were following the task force, they had to ask the gentleman within the Asafo market to close down his shop because he felt he was not part of the group that the president has asked to open their shops. He was selling plastic polythene bags, and he was telling us that he sells them to some tomato sellers and garden egg sellers, vegetable sellers. That is what they use to bag their products when they sell them. But they were told, he was told that he is not part of the exemption list, so he was asked to close down, and he closed down immediately. Likely, we saw somebody within the Asafo market who was doing construction work. And so quite a number of people were in there working, and likewise they were told to stop working because they felt that they were not part of the exemption list. So yes, there are people who have opened shops and they are not part of the exemption list, and they are being asked to close the shops.
Erastus, just before you go, the police yesterday told us that this is supposed to be humanitarian, the exercise that is currently underway. What has been the feedback from the communities as far as the patrols are concerned?
Well, we have received some complaints, especially from one person I recall who had cane marks on his back, and he has posted those pictures on social media, and he was narrating how he was beaten in front of his mother's shop because he had not closed the shop to people, and they were selling in front of their house. And so I don't know what happened, but he said that he was beaten, as surely you can see the cane marks on his back. But then aside that, we have we have met the task force in the night. That was yesterday in the night, where we saw, in fact, they look quite menacing. You see them with whips and canes. And me, for instance, I was asked about my ID card. When I showed my ID card, they asked me whether if you're a media person, that doesn't give me the right to be moving around. That was the comment that came from them. And so I saw some people being beaten in that particular area. So yes, there's a certain level of force being applied by some of the teams, but largely they are also talking to people and giving them advice as to whether they can move around or they can't move around.
Erastus, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on this 14-day restriction, day 2 from Kumasi, where we understand some arrests have already been made. 20 people arrested from Asafo. These people were all at a cold store trying to get some frozen foods. And of course, there have been some defiance as well from people who do not fall within the food value chain.